Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Robert Shapiro. I'm a certified assistant county assessor with the Assessment Review Commission. I'd like to thank Legislator Ferretti for inviting me to speak with you today to help you learn how to file a grievance online for free without the need to hire a company to do it for you. At this time, we're going to turn the microphone over to Legislator Ferretti for a few opening remarks.
Thanks so much, Robert, and I want to welcome everybody on to this virtual seminar. I want to thank Robert for this is actually the second seminar he's doing for me this year. He did the last one in January, and this is the second one he's doing tonight. And it's really informative. It'll help you grieve your assessment this year. It's so important to have these so you not only so you get your fair and accurate assessment, but also so you do so without having to pay a tax grievance firm. Many of the firms charge 50% of whatever you potentially save as a fee for their services, whereas Robert, myself, believe very strongly that this is something you could do on your own and recognize that full savings, that full tax savings as a result of grieving your assessment. And so I want to thank not just Robert, but our county executive, Bruce Blakeman, who allows for these seminars to go forward and is a strong advocate to get these assessments right. We have had a frozen assessment roll the last 2 years, which on the surface it sounds great, but in reality, if the assessments that were frozen were not accurate to begin with, then we still do not have a fair roll. And so it's important that if you do not believe you have a fair and accurate assessment, that you grieve your assessment and you make your case as to why you are entitled to a reduction in your assessed value. And that's what Robert's going to teach you how to do today. I always say that if you could buy something on Amazon, you can grieve your assessment yourself. That's the line I like to use, and I believe it. It's a process that I've done every year since I purchased my home in 2009. I've done my own tax assessment grievance every single year. And at this point, I could do my own assessment. I'm do it for my mom and dad. I do it for my sister now. And each one of them take me under 10 minutes. It's really not, it's not that long, but you have to learn how to do it. And that's what we're providing for you today, is that class so you know how to do it. After the class, if you have any further questions, you can always call my office. My assistant, Mary Pat's on this seminar right now as well. And I want to thank her for all of her assistance. And you can always reach out to our office with any additional questions you may have. The number is 516-571-6215. And I'm going to put that in the group chat as well. So if you have any questions after the seminar tomorrow, give us a call and we'll hopefully be able to clear that up for you again. Again, I hope you enjoy this. I hope you get a lot out of it. Again, thank you to Robert. Thank you to our entire department, our entire Assessment Review Commission, as well as our county executive, Bruce Blakeman, for doing this for us. And once again, enjoy, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator Ferretti. Appreciate it. And now I learned something new. Apparently, since if you could do Amazon, you could do this. My wife must be an expert at filing because...
Mine too, Robert.
All right. So thank you, Legislator Ferretti. Before we begin, I want to remind everyone to take advantage of the Q&A feature of this online event. If you have any questions, you can enter them into the Q&A. We will address as many of them as we can get to at the end of the presentation. Now, the reason we do this at the end is because there is a time delay on this broadcast in terms of when we say stuff and show stuff and when you actually see it. There's about a 30 to 40 second delay. So in order to avoid any confusion, because you're seeing something and I could be 1 or 2 pages beyond that, we save all the questions till the end. That being said, when you think of a question, don't hesitate, put it in the Q&A and we'll get to it. Okay, so as Legislator Ferretti said, the whole point of this seminar is to teach you how to do this yourself. You hire a company, we see all the advertisements out there. They don't do this for free. They'll take a flat fee. They'll take 20, 30, 40, sometimes 50% of any potential savings you get. If you do this yourself, you get all the savings. And we're going to show you how to do it step by step. So right now what you're looking at is the homepage for the Nassau County Assessment Review Commission. You can get there by going to www.askarcnassau.com. You'll notice right at the top of our page is a video. It's a YouTube video. It is the short version of this seminar. It's about 6.5 minutes long. So at any time, if you forget something or want a refresher course, that video is always posted right there on our website. Let's look on the right-hand side of your screen where it says in either red or orange, depending on your screen. It says ARC 2023-2024 brochure. And if you click on that, you will be able to download our brochure. Now you'll notice it has lots of great information. It has our address, phone number, our email address. On the left-hand side on the bottom, you'll notice it has the website to find out your property information from the Department of Assessment, which is www.mynassauproperty.com. And right in the middle, it has a calendar with all the important dates and information. And perhaps the most important date right now to keep aware of is March 1st. March 1st is the deadline. That's the end of the filing period. If you do not get your appeal finished and in by midnight, March 1st, that's it. We can do nothing for you. So please don't wait till the last minute. Don't take a chance on the website going down. If thousands of people are trying to get on last minute at the same time, take care of it as soon as you can. You can always go back and make modifications later on after you've confirmed that you actually have the appeal on file, but please don't wait, get it done. Okay, we're going to be talking a lot about ARROW, which stands for Assessment Review on the Web. On the left-hand side, you see the link for ARROW. You could also get there by going to the website at the bottom of your screen, which is www.nassaucountiny.gov/ARC/ARROW. So we're going to click on one of those links. And now you are on the ARROW site. Assessment Review on the Web. Now, the first thing we need to do, if you've never filed online before, is you're going to have to register. If you have filed online, I want you to see the link on the left where it says change registration information. I want you to click on that because you want to double check and make sure all your information is still correct. We're going to treat this as a new registration. So we're going to click on where it says register with ARC, and you'll notice that is on the left-hand side of your screen. So we're going to click on register with ARC, and now we are on the registration page. Everywhere there is an asterisk, you have to put the information in. So first name, last name, street address, city, state, and zip code all have to be there. A valid phone number needs to be there. Now, when you go down about a third of the way, maybe almost half, it says ARC is now offering the option of receiving electronic or paper notifications for offers and determinations. What that means is you have the option to be contacted by either regular mail or email. We strongly encourage you to use email. It tends to be more reliable. Just every so often, check your spam folder to make sure you're not missing any emails from us. Next, you're going to enter your email address and enter it again. Make sure it's one that you check often so we can get in touch with you. Now, if you're checking your registration information, it's very important to double check the email address you may have used in the past is still valid. You may have used a work address and since switched jobs. You may have been with FiOS and switched to Optimum and your address changed. So that's why we tell you if you've already registered, double check your information, make sure it's still current. You're going to create a user ID and a password. Read through all that text to make sure you understand what this means. And then you're going to click on complete registration. You'll get a message saying thank you for registering. Please click here to continue. Now, if you're all done, if all you want to do at this point is register, you can click on log out. That's especially important if you're not using your own computer. If you're borrowing a friend's, if you are at the library using one of theirs, whenever you are done to protect your information, click on log out. One more thing, you will be getting an email confirmation from us. It will be sent to the email address you used on the registration page. Now, it may not look exactly like this. It all depends on what email program you use, but it will have similar information confirming everything you entered, and that's how you know you've registered. So next time you want to log into the system, you would click on log in, you would enter the username and password, and once you do so, you will be in the Arrow system. And you can tell because if you look about 1/3 up from the bottom where it says welcome to Arrow assessment review on the web and it says John Smith, when you're logged onto your account, it will say your name, and that's how you know you're properly logged on to Arrow. So we're going to talk a lot about filing an appeal using Sales Locator. Now, ARC has provided a Sales Locator tool to assist you in filling out your application form. Now, it can only be used for single family, 2-family, or 3-family homes. Sales Locator does not work for condos or co-ops. Now, what the Sales Locator does is it provides adjusted sales prices of properties that are comparable to yours. And we'll discuss in a little bit what it means to be comparable. And you can use that to help determine if your property is currently overvalued. It's very important to remember. Everyone tends to use the phrase, I am appealing my taxes. I'm grieving my taxes. You're not grieving your actual taxes. What you are grieving and appealing is your assessment, your assessed value. That is what is used to calculate your taxes, but you are not directly appealing or grieving your taxes. You're grieving your assessed value, which leads to your assessment. Okay, so to file an appeal with the assistance of the Sales Locator, you can either click at the bottom where it says, do you have a good case for filing an appeal? Or on the left-hand side where it says Sales Locator. Either one will work. So first thing we have to do now is find your property. So we're going to do a property search. Now you can search by section, block, and lot if you happen to know the numbers or have them handy. If you don't, most folks don't have them handy or know what they are. I've been working for the Assessment Review Commission for 3 years. I have no idea off the top of my head what my section, block, and lot is. So we're going to search by address. So where it says number, we'll put our house number. In this example, it's 504. Next is street. It says Christie. That's our property. Now, you don't put anything after that, whether it's street, lane, or avenue. You don't put any of that, just Christie. The reason for that is, say you were to put in Christie Street, S-T-R-E-E-T, but in the computer, they have it as S-T. It would not find your property. So you just put the actual name and leave nothing afterwards. Or put nothing afterwards, excuse me. Put the city in. Put the zip code, and you're going to click search, and if all goes well, which it typically does, your property will appear at the bottom of the screen. You can see it. It's got the parcel ID, and it's got our address. So on the left-hand side, where the parcel ID is, you're going to click on the parcel ID. And now we do the test to make sure that you're not a hacker or perhaps you're a robot. We're going to see. So you'll see either letters or numbers or both in the black box. You're going to take those letters and numbers and retype them in the white box to the right. Now, it doesn't matter whether it's lowercase or uppercase, but you do have to have the correct information in there. Once you do that, you will click continue. And if you have the correct letters and numbers, you should see your property. So here in our example, we have 504 Christie Street. It's a 1-family house located in the Rockville Center School District, and it's in the town of Hempstead. Let's look on to the right side of the screen where it says Assessment Information 2023-24. You'll see the appeal period, January 3rd to March 1st, 2022. Again, the deadline is March 1st, 2022. Valuation date is January 3rd, 2022. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see your current taxable market value, $467,000. And that translates to an assessed value of $467. That 467, that is the number they use to calculate your taxes. So the Department of Assessment has determined, as of the valuation date, January 3rd, 2022, if your house was on the market, it should, in theory, sell for a price of $467,000. And you are filing an appeal if you don't agree with that figure. Let's look on the left-hand side about the dwelling information, and we're going to take a close-up look at that. Okay, so on the left, you see dwelling information. You'll see it's a cape. It shows the year built, lot size, which is how big your property is, the living area, your square footage of your home. Full baths, we have 2. We have 1 half bath, we have a garage, and we have a basement. Now, if any of that information is incorrect, you can change it. Now, you're only changing it for sales locator, just for this grievance. So we're going to make a change. You'll notice it says we have 2 full baths. We have 1 full bath. So we're going to click on change values. It will allow you to now change the values you see. We could change that 2 full baths to 1 full bath and click apply changes. Again, this is only good for sales locator. If there's anything wrong that you see here and you need to have it actually changed in the record, say they think you will have 4 full bathrooms and you only have 2. You would contact the Department of Assessment. Their phone number is here. We'll have it at the end as well. You would call 516-571-1500. Reach out to the Department of Assessment and explain to them that they have incorrect information. If it's something interior, if the bathroom count is wrong, the Department of Assessment may ask to come and do an inspection of your home, and they would come inside. And it's important to note that there is a chance that the inspector may see other things that you don't want them to see. You may want them to come and correct your bathroom count, but you may not want them to come and see the fact that you have 2 or 3 kitchens. So that is entirely up to you. I cannot tell you definitively that they will come in and see one thing and not the other, because the Department of Assessment is a different department. I cannot speak on their behalf, but just understand that is a possibility. If it's something on the outside, if they have a record of you having a garage, but the garage was knocked down last year, they may be able to just drive by your house and from the street, take a photo and see that the garage is gone. But again, any questions about making a permanent change to the record, contact Department of Assessment. So we're going to go ahead as is. On the left-hand side, we're going to click Find Sales. And now we have a whole bunch of sales here. Now, at the very top of that list is our subject, 504 Christie Street. It's there to make an easy comparison. Any sales we choose, you see there's check boxes on the left-hand side in the column that says select. The comparables we choose, we will choose them by clicking on the checkbox in that row. Now, you are only able to choose 5 comparable sales in Sales Locator. If you want to add more, you can later on, but Sales Locator only adds 5, or allows you to add 5. You'll notice we only have 3. People typically ask me, how many comparables do I need? What's the magic number? There is no magic number. If you can prove your case with 1 or 2 really good sales, then use 1 or 2 sales. I tend to tell people that if you can't prove your case with 3 to 5 sales, adding 10 or 15 sales isn't going to help. All right, so let's take a look at these sales. All right, so we're looking at the sales, and we're trying to find the sales that are most similar to our subject. Now, we talked about comparable sales. We're going to talk about what makes a valid comparable sale. Our subject is a Cape. So you're trying to find perhaps homes, Cape-style homes, that are most similar to yours. And we're talking about most similar in square footage, in lot size, and so forth. Now, if you can't find the Cape, you can choose other homes that may be similar in square footage and lot size, but are different. You are not guaranteed that you're going to find the exact sale you're looking for. You'll notice also that some of these sales are located in different towns. Sales Locator looks for sales that have sold within the past 12 or 18 months, and it concentrates on homes that are sold that are in your same school district. So while these comparables, or excuse me, these sales that are here on the screen may be located in adjacent towns, they're all located within the Rockville Center School District. And let's face it, when people are looking for homes in the area, they are looking based on school district is a big question mark, because not only is it the quality of schools, but it's also impacts how much you're paying school taxes. So let's look at these sales. Now you're looking for market sales. And what does it mean to be a market sale? A market sale typically is what's called an arm's length sale. And that means you have a person looking to sell the house for as much as they can get for it. You have a person looking to buy the house for as little as they can pay for it. They negotiate, they come up with a price. That's a market sale. What's not a market sale? Well, a bank foreclosure. Often if a bank owns a house, they will lowball the sale price because they just want to get rid of the house. They don't want to be stuck with the house. So that would be a non-market sale. How about an estate sale? Often on an estate sale, someone passes away. The kids don't want to be stuck with the house, so they sell it for a little bit less to make the quick sale. Those are not arm's length sales. Maybe it's a family where the father and mother sell the home to one of their kids, and they sell it for way below the actual value because they're family. Now, you'll notice it doesn't say on the screen, market sale, family sale. So how are you supposed to know? Well, if you'll notice, most of these homes that are on the screen are selling between, say, low 400,000s to about $600,000. So that's in general what they're selling for. If you see a home that's sold for $250,000, more than likely that's not a market sale. So if it looks like an oddball, out of place sale, more than likely it's not a market sale. Now, we cannot stop you from using it. However, if you provide us with a sale that doesn't look right, the appraiser who gets your case is going to look at it, do the research, determine it's not a market sale, and he's not going to use that as part of his determination as to whether you are entitled to a reduction. So while you can put sales that are not market sales in there, it's not going to help your case. Okay, so we've chosen 3 sales, and we are going to choose them. So in the bottom left corner, it says select check properties and continue. Now you can see your property on the left-hand side, and you see the other sales we chose right next to it. Okay, let's look at that first sale, sale number 1. It's 1171 Hempstead Avenue. And if you look down a little bit in the yellow bracket, it shows it's sold for $450,000 on January 19th, 2021. Keep on going down that road. You'll notice it's Cape. You'll notice it's about the same age as our subject. Also not waterfront. Now, where it says adjustments, if you go down, you'll notice the computer is automatically making adjustments. It's accounting for differences between our subject and the comparable sales we've chosen. So let's look at the lot area. You'll notice our subject's lot area is about 1,300 square feet larger than sale 1. So the computer has added value to account for that difference. We have a half bath. This sale doesn't. It's added $5,000. It's determined that that's the value of the half bath. Living area. Our home is larger than sale 1. So again, it's added value. So you'll notice that a home that's sold for $450,000, if it was more similar to our subject in terms of lot area, bathroom counts, living area, and so forth, would have sold for $465,895. That's the way the adjustments work. And the computer makes adjustments for sales 2 and 3 as well. So now what you want to look at is at the adjusted price area, it says weight. And what that means is if you don't touch weight, it will take these 3 sales, add them, divide them by 3, and come up with an average. And you'll notice it says for weight, it says 34, 33, and 33%. You can change that. If you decide that sales 1 is the best sale, that's the best home that will prove your case, you can add more weight. You could say, I want to put 50% weight on that sale, and I'm going to put 25% on sale 2, 25% on sale 3. It's got to equal 100%. That is your option to do so. We're going to keep it the way it is now, just for simplicity's sake. On the left-hand side, it says continue. We're going to click on continue. And at this point, we remind you that ARC's sales locator is not an appraisal. It's not an opinion on the value of your property by the Assessment Review Commission. You have to read the disclaimer and acknowledge it to proceed. So you would click on I agree, proceed. And now you'll notice we have the results for our selected sales. So because we didn't change the weight in our example, the average adjusted sales price and the weight adjusted sales price is pretty much the same number. We'll round it up to say $467,000. And if you see taxable market value, it says $467,000, which is what the Department of Assessment has assigned as a value in this to our home. So based on the sales we chose, it looks like the number from the Department of Assessment is pretty accurate. Now, does that mean we can't go forward? Absolutely not. Sales locator is optional. You don't have to use it. And even if you use it, if you don't agree with it, you can go forward and not use the results from it. So we're going to continue to submit an appeal, and we're going to go forward by clicking on continue. Okay, so now we are into the actual application. And the first thing we need to do is choose the right form based on the property. For most of us, we're going to be using the AR1, which is for single family, 2-family, or 3-family homes. It also includes low-rise condominiums. That's the most typical. We're going to use that. So we choose the AR1. Now you will notice as we go through the form, because we use sales locator, it takes the weighted adjusted sale price of our comparables and puts it automatically into Part B. You'll see the weighted average of 466, 896 automatically there. You don't have to keep that. That's what happens when you use sales locator. Also, it takes the sales we had in sales locator and puts those automatically into Part E. Again, you don't have to keep them, but that's how it works when you use sales locator. Okay, so let's continue on. One more thing before we actually get into the form. You're going to see little blue question marks throughout this form. They are there to guide you. If there is ever a question about what is being asked for, so in our example, it says taxpayer applicant's name, and you're not sure what they're exactly looking for, you take your mouse, you hover it over the question mark. You don't even have to click. And a yellow pop-up box will appear. In this case, it says, if you own the house, write your name. If you're filing for a relative who owns the house, write that person's name, and so forth. So anytime you're not sure what they're looking for, you can click on the question mark, put your mouse over the question mark, and it'll give you some information. Okay, let's get into the form itself, and we will start at the beginning. Part A. Part A is required. Now, from Sales Locator, it already has your parcel ID, the photo of your home, the address, and the name on the roll. You need to put in the taxpayer applicant's name. Typically, that's the person filling out the form. Now, for other owners' names, your spouse, if they're a co-owner, if you own the house with family members, you can put your brothers and sisters on there if that's the case. Please understand, if you don't put a co-owner on the form, if you don't put your spouse or your siblings, and they want to call about your appeal and their names are not on file because they didn't put it on the appeal, we can't speak to them. Even if they're listed as an owner, if they're not on the application, our staff can't talk to them. So please avoid fights at home. Please put your spouse or whoever the co-owner is on the form under other owners' forms, other form owners' names, excuse me. Next is form. For most of you, it's going to be individual. If one of the other options applies, partnership, trust, and so forth, choose that one. That is Part A. Again, you have to do Part A. It is required. Part B, also required. Now, as you notice, from Sales Locator, it has entered a market value because it's asking the applicant estimates and requests that the assessment be reduced based on a full market value of. Now, our market value currently is $467,000, and this is $14 less. So it's not really asking for a reduction. So you can change that. You can erase that number and perhaps put in $430,000, whatever you choose. Just type in 430,000. Underneath, it's asking about, is the property offered for sale or is it under contract? The reason we're asking that question, if your house is on the market or it just sold, and let's say it's sold or it's in contract for $400,000, well, if it's on the open market, that's a pretty good price that you are being overassessed. That's why we asked the question. So you would check the box for yes, you would enter the price. Let's move on to Part C. Part C is nice and easy. The representative type for your appeal has already been entered on your application. No response is needed. It is self. All done. Okay. Part D. Now, Part D is entirely optional. You can enter nothing. You can fill out everything. It's entirely up to you. In order to see the entire form, on the purple display tab or the pink display tab, you can click on that. It will open up and you will see the whole form. Now, it asks multiple questions, and you can, again, enter as much or as little as you want. I want to focus on the bottom third. One of the great things about doing this yourself is you are the best advocate for you. You know your home, you know your neighborhood. These companies can't possibly know everything about your home and about your neighborhood. You know more. That's why we like when you do this yourself. So in part D, if you look down at the bottom third, it starts asking questions, and it's asking about things around your house. So are any of these things adjacent or visible from your home? Let's take the first one, waterfront. Now you may think, my house is on the water. That's going to increase the value. I don't want to tell them that. Well, first off, if your house is on the water, we're going to know about it. But secondly, just because your house is a waterfront property doesn't mean it's worth more because of your location. Waterfront. If you're on the North Shore and it's a nice calm water, beautiful sunsets, well, you know what? Perhaps it adds some value. But let's say your house is on the South Shore and every time it rains, the water comes up, goes over your dock, through your backyard, and floods your basement. Waterfront property isn't looking so great now, is it? So you can check waterfront, and where it says other facts, start typing out. I live on the South Shore. Every time it rains, my basement floods. Let's look at railroad. Is it good or bad to be by the railroad? Well, railroad means noise, so that could be a bad thing that you have the extra noise from the railroad, or possibly you live in a neighborhood which is very popular for commuters, people who need to get on a train every day and go to work. And the fact that your house is close by to a railroad, that you could walk to the station and not have to worry about parking, that could be a positive thing. So check railroad and enter it in other facts. Let us know. Let's go down two more. It says street with a painted center line or other traffic separation. Now, typically a double yellow line means that it's a busy road. But if you don't have a double yellow line, does that mean your street's not busy? Well, again, you know your neighborhood. Let's say you're in the proximity to Hempstead Turnpike, and all the locals know that they can zip off of Hempstead Turnpike, go on your street, bypass 7 or 8 lights, and save themselves a few minutes. So everyone uses your street as a cut through. It wouldn't be obvious from a map, but you know that because you live there. So either check the street or check none of these, and in other facts, let us know. Everyone uses our street as a shortcut. And if you say that, the person reviewing your case could look at the map and go, hey, you know what? That makes sense. They're close to the busy road and people probably drive in front of their house. We wouldn't know that until you tell us that. You may be close to a school. Now, maybe you're close enough to a school that it's obvious that you're going to have traffic and bus traffic and noise. But let's say you're about maybe 2 or 3 blocks away from a school, and your street is the closest street that doesn't have no parking signs. So all the kids park on your street because they can't get any closer because all the other streets have no parking signs. That's not something we'd see on a map, but you know that because you live there. Tell us that. That is something that can impact your value. The way you're looking at this is if you were selling your house and say you wanted to sell it for $500,000 and somebody wanted to buy your house and they say, well, you know what? This is a busy road. I don't think the house is worth $500,000. I think it's worth $475,000. That's the mindset you're looking at. You're looking at it is if a person was going to buy your house, what about your house and what about the neighborhood would perhaps result in you getting a lower sale price. That's what you're looking at. So part D is entirely optional, but again, it's my favorite part, and I think you can make a really good case for yourself. And by the way, other facts, that box looks small, but if you need more room, you can always type it up on a Word document or something, and we'll show you later on how to upload the Word document. So don't think like you're stuck with that small box and that's all the room you have. Again, that's part D. Let's move on to part E. Part E, entirely optional. Yes, you do not need to include comparable sales to file an appeal. Now you'll notice we have the 3 sales we chose from Sales Locator. If you like those sales, great. You can add some comments on the right-hand side. Let's say that first sale, you found out that 1171 Hempstead Avenue, it sold for $450,000. It turns out you found out it has a brand new kitchen, a beautiful pool, Italian marble floors. Put those in the comments. Let us know. That's why it sold so high. Maybe one of these sales you don't like anymore. Well, if it's not helping you out, go to the left side where it says delete the parcel. Now you don't have it anymore. And you can do that for 1, 2, all 3 if you don't like them. That's entirely up to you. Say you want to add a sale. On the bottom line, you'll notice it's blank. You can click on the magnifying glass. It will open up a search box similar to the one in the beginning when we searched for your property. So you'll enter a number, you'll enter a street, you'll search, you'll find the property, you'll click OK. It'll enter the parcel ID and the address, and then you can manually enter in a sale date, a sale price, and comments. I found this sale on Zillow or something. Now, where else can you find comparable sales if not in Sales Locator? And sometimes sales that are recent haven't made their way into Sales Locator yet. That's always a possibility. Well, you could look at Zillow. You could look at Realtor.com. A great place to look for sales is contacting a local realtor. We all get those items in the mail. Hey, I'm the expert. Give me a call. I'll sell your house. Well, you're not selling your house right now. Give them a call anyway and say, hi, I'm not looking to sell, but since you're the expert, can you help me out finding comparable sales? I'm trying to file an appeal. There's a good chance they're going to say yes, because they're hoping if and when the time comes for you to sell your house, you're going to remember that nice realtor who helped you find sales. So it's a great resource. But again, Part A, optional. You do not need to provide us with any sales whatsoever as part of your appeal. Part F is required. Now you're going to enter a security code. We're going to make sure you haven't turned into a robot since you started. You're going to read through all that documentation there. You need to understand what you are agreeing to when you submit your appeal. And there is some legalese in there, so make sure you read it carefully. You're going to go where it says signatory certification. Mostly you'll choose owner of record. If not, one of the others applies. Choose one of the other possibilities. And then you're going to click on submit application form, and you're only going to do that once. Even if you click it and you're not sure it's taking a long time, give it some time. If you submit the application more than once, you may have filed more than once, and if you have multiple filings, none of them will go through until you delete the extra ones. So just click it once, give it time, see if it goes through. So we're going to click on submit application form. Now, if you make a mistake, if you're missing any information, it will tell you so. So here it says errors found in Part A, errors found in Part B. The appeal has not been submitted yet. You have to fix the errors. And what's nice is it shows you in nice bright red where the mistakes are. So in Part A, we forgot the taxpayer applicant's name. We forgot to choose a form. You would fix those spots in Part A, and then above where it says submit changes, click submit changes for that section. In Part B, we forgot to put a full market value. You would make the correction, click submit changes. Once you've made all the corrections and it goes through, you will see a red confirmation number. It will show you that you have an application number. You could write that application number down, keep it handy, perhaps on that brochure we spoke about in the beginning. You are also going to get a courtesy confirmation email. So keep an eye on your email. If you don't get the email, check your spam folder once again. And you can always check on your status by going to on the left where it says appeal filing status change. Okay, so you have filed your appeal. You now have the option. You can return to your home page if you're all set. You could submit another appeal in the same manner, or you may want to either view or add attachments to your appeal. Now, why would you add attachments? Well, if you have additional documentation, maybe you have an appraisal that was done in the past 6 months for a refinance, or you have photos. Maybe there's an eyesore that's been there for 15 years right across the street. Take a picture and show it to us. Maybe you want to show us the picture of the gas station across the street, or the auto body shop that's open, all hours of a day making noise. You could do that. Anything you feel that may help your case for appeal, you can add as an attachment. Now, it's important to understand that documents can be added and changes can be made to the appeal online up until the filing period closes. That's March 1st. You still can have changes made to your appeal after that date, but you can't do them yourself. We'll go more about that in a second. Let's continue on. So we're going to click where it says view or add attachments. Now, since we don't have any yet, we're going to click on yes where it says, would you like to add one now? Pop-up window will appear to upload the attachment. You're going to click on choose file. You will navigate to the attachment and double click on it, same as you would if you were adding an attachment to an email. You're going to choose the document type from the drop-down list. And as you see on the right, it could be an appraisal report, authorization, maybe it's photos, could be other documents, whatever is appropriate. And then you'll click on submit attachment. You'll notice in the middle now where it says documents for our application, it shows our attachment test.pdf. Now, if you uploaded the wrong attachment, you can delete it by clicking delete document. If you have to add other documents, you could do so by clicking where it says upload new document, or you can return to your appeal by clicking return to the appeal form. Now again, in the event that you need to either add or delete an attachment after the filing period ends, which is March 1st, you will have to mail any requests or documentation to our offices. It's Assessment Review Commission, 240 Old Country Road, 5th floor, Mineola, New York, 11501. Attention residential supervisor. And by the way, all that information I just read off is in the brochure. So print out the brochure and you will have our mailing address handy. Let's continue on. So after clicking return to the appeal form, when all the documentation for the appeal has been uploaded, you will see that your application has been received by ARC. On the right-hand side in status, you will see received. Now, you can click on the arrow home tab to return to your home page, or you can click on log out if you're all done. Anytime you want to go back and check your application, you would go to where it says appeal filing status change. So you have done it. You have filed your appeal using Sales Locator. But what if you don't want to use Sales Locator? Well, we're going to show you that too. Now, there's a lot of similarities, so we're going to go a little quicker this time. Have no fear. Any questions you have, we will address at the end. So, on the left-hand side, you see it says File an Appeal. You can either click on that or at the bottom where it says File an Appeal Online. We're going to choose our property type from a drop-down list to get the right form. Again, for most of us, for a one-family, two-family, or three-family home, it's going to be the AR1. So we choose that. Now, since we're not using Sales Locator, this is where we will locate our property. You can either enter your parcel ID, or like I said before, search by your property address. House number, street with nothing after it, town, zip code, click search, find your parcel, click on the parcel ID, and now we are in the form. Part A, again, is required. It will already have your parcel ID, photo, address, and name of the roll because you just searched for your property. You have to add the taxpayer applicant's name. As we mentioned before, other owners' names, spouse, co-owners, please add them. Choose the correct form. For most of you, it will be individual. Part B. Now it's blank because we didn't use Sales Locator this time. So you will enter the estimate of the full market value of the property. Again, our current market value is $467,000, for example. So obviously, if you're looking for a reduction, you're going to put a number in that's lower than that. Remember also, don't include a dollar sign or a decimal point, just the numbers. So if you want it for $400,000, 400,000. Like before, if your house is either for sale or under contract, choose yes and enter the price. As you found out, you can upload a copy of the MLS listing, a copy of the contract of sale, perhaps an appraisal was done for the deal. All those could be uploaded as proof. Part C, still done for you. Nothing to do here. Let's move on. Part D, once again, is optional. Click the display button to see the entire section of Part D. You can fill as much or as little. Again, I know it sounds corny. Part D is my favorite part. It's really a great spot for you to make your case. So please take the time, especially with that bottom third, where you could talk about things that are outside of your control, around your house, close by commercial properties, back into a busy road, whatever the case may be. Let us know about it. Do not assume that Department of Assessment knew about this issue when they determined your value, because if they didn't, that may be a quick cause to get a reduction. Part D. Part E has no sales in it because we haven't done sales locator. You can manually enter sales. We showed you how before. Again, sales are optional. Part E is optional. You are not required to enter sales. But if you'd like to do so, click on the magnifying glass, search for the correct parcel and property, manually enter the sales date, sale price, and add some comments. I found the sale from a realtor. I found it from Zillow, whatever the case may be. That's Part E. Again, entirely optional. Part F, still required, still making sure you haven't become a robot. Take the text from the black box, retype it in the white box, read through that entire statement so you understand what you are agreeing to. Choose the proper signatory certification, for most of you again, owner of record, and click submit application, and only do that once. Like before, any errors, it will tell you there are errors and it will tell you where they are. Go section by section, make the corrections, click on submit changes for each section. When you are done with that, you will get your red confirmation message and an application number. And also that confirmation will be sent by email. And again, you can always check the appeal filing status change tab to check your status. Okay. Submitting changes to your appeal. If you want to make any changes, and again, you could do this yourself before March 1st. Afterwards, you're going to have to contact our staff and have them do it for you. So, left-hand side, it says appeal filing status change. You would click on that. Now, you have to find the correct application. If you've only done one, if you search by tax year, it'll be easy. It'll find it right away. If not, you can always enter the application number and the tax year, parcel ID, whatever you choose to. Click search for appeals. You're going to find the correct one at the bottom of your screen. You will click on the application number, and now you can make changes. Now, as an example, we've got Part B here, and it's got a value of $460,000. We could have put that there, and we decided, you know what? That's not right. I think it's $430,000. So you erase the 460, you put in 430, 430, 000, and you click submit changes. Again, you can only do this yourself until the filing deadline. Any changes after that, you're going to have to contact our customer service department. If you want to add additional documents to your appeal, on your application page, you'll see a tab that says ARC Communications/Attachments. You click that, and then you can upload the documents by clicking Upload New Document, doing exactly the same way you did before. The last thing, withdrawing your appeal. On the application page, you'll see on the left-hand side, it says Withdraw the Appeal. Now, a reminder, you can only have one appeal filed per parcel, and all duplicates must be withdrawn for your application to be processed. So, if you double-clicked and filed twice by mistake, maybe your spouse filed, didn't tell you, and you get there, and now all of a sudden you've got two because you filed also. You have to get rid of any duplicates. You only have one in the system. That includes also, by the way, in case you hired a company, but then you changed your mind, you want to get rid of the company and do it yourself. So, make sure all your pop-up blockers are turned off prior to clicking that Withdraw Appeal button. When the message appears, you're going to read through it, make sure you understand what you are agreeing to. You're going to click where it says, I have read the terms of the agreement, and you'll then click on Agree. And if all goes well and you did it correctly, you will see on the right-hand side that your application has been withdrawn. Believe it or not, we've reached the end of the presentation. It is time to answer your questions. I'm going to leave up our contact information here, and we're going to go through and check out some of your questions. And by the way, Legislator, if you want to join in the conversation at any time, just turn on your camera and I can bring you on screen here. So, okay. Why doesn't the sales locator only show market sales to make it easier? That's a great question. The way the system is set up, because not every sale is identified as being a market sale, public records doesn't have a way of always knowing if it's a market sale. Sometimes you will see something in public records where it says government sale, but it doesn't have a special indicator that if it's two family members or two people with the same last name, for example, we would have no way of knowing for sure if it was a discounted sale or if it was priced lower or higher or so forth. So unfortunately, because it's based on the public records, there's no way for the system to differentiate those sales. That's why everything is in the system. And that's why we kind of gave you those hints, how to figure out which is the oddball sale. One more thing, when you're looking at sales, and I want to see if I can go back to that page real quick. When you're in Sales Locator and you're looking at the comparable sales, which are right there, okay. Every so often, something may look weird. You may see all these homes that are selling in the 4s and the 5s, and then maybe you see a home that seems like it's a crazy price, like it's a ranch and it's 500 square feet and it's sold for $700,000. What happens sometimes is if a house is knocked down and a new house is built, sometimes the sale gets updated in the system before the new inventory does, meaning that the sale price of $750 may be recorded, but the house, the fact that it's no longer a 500 square foot ranch, but a brand new 3,000 square foot colonial may not have been entered into the system yet. So again, you may get some strange looking sales like that. Be on the lookout for it. And a lot of times you can take the address, put it into Google, and do a search. Maybe find it on Zillow to figure out if that's the case. Okay.
Hey,
So
Rob.
yeah, go ahead,
I wanted
Jason.
to jump in and just introduce myself. My name is Jason. I'm producing and helping Rob tonight. I'm a customer service representative with ARC. There's a great question, Rob, that I would appreciate it if you could help us answer for the homeowner. Because sales, comparable sales in Part E of the application is optional, and the homeowner would get a review regardless of if they put in sales. Talk for a minute, would you please, about what's the advantage to the homeowner of giving us comparable sales to review?
Well, again, you are the expert on your neighborhood. You know the neighborhood, you know similarities and so forth. The appraiser that reviews your case will look at everything you send to us. If you send us comparable sales that support your case, we're going to look at those sales. If you don't send us anything, we're going to do our own research. Now, we have certain sources. You have your sources, whether, again, it's a local realtor or sales locator or so forth. But if you know of sales, you're able to locate sales that support your case. It's great to put them in there. If not, we're going to do our own research, go through and find sales. Now, we have a pretty good ability to find valid comparable sales in the neighborhood. So sometimes sales isn't the most important thing. That's why I stress Part D so much. Because while we have access, and sometimes have access to more information on sales of a neighborhood, those special things about your home that you know that we can't just from looking at a map or looking by a photo, that is where you can make a big difference. That's why I stress so much about Part D.
So if I could give an example of that, Rob,
Please.
That would be something along the lines of, let's say a homeowner lived near a school. The appraiser can see that there's a school 2 blocks away, but what the appraiser cannot know is that parents dropping off their children and buses and whatnot use your block as an artery to get to and from the school that creates traffic and parking issues. Is that right?
Absolutely. Perfect example. And again, it's all about what you know as compared to what someone who doesn't live in your area may know. So take advantage of it. Again, as I said before, doing this yourself, you are your best advocate. Who's going to work harder to save you money than you? And again, it doesn't take hours to do this, but by putting in a few minutes, taking some time, there's a good chance you're going to get a good result if you put the time and give us the information and it makes sense. And again, Part D, I keep on stressing it. That's a great place to make your case. Please, I know it says optional, but take the time. I look at so many applications where people blow off Part D because it says optional.
And I'd like to contribute to that, Rob. You know, what I tell folks when they call in and ask questions to the customer service line is, in Part D, I suggest you tell us contextual things about living in your neighborhood that are outside of your control, but yet affect your ability to sell your property at a fair price. So that could be something like a vacant house that's in disrepair down the block. That's an eyesore. That would certainly make a potential buyer not want to offer you as much money, and it's outside of your control. So that's those kind of things, contextual things that are outside of your control, do really indeed help. And not only can you put them in Part D, but you can attach them as documents. You can send us photographs if you'd like to show what you're referring to. A question that a lot of folks ask, and I'd like us to cover this, we get tons of questions about whether or not the presentation will be available after tonight. So I'd like to refer you to two places. Number one, Rob may have mentioned there's an abbreviated version of this presentation at our website, www.askarknassau.com. That's a quick review version that's about 6.5 minutes. And in addition to that, the legislator themselves, they may elect to put a copy of this presentation up on their website, but that's up to the legislator.
Absolutely. So, and in fact, this is Legislator Ferretti's second session. So typically after we've done with the second session, we'll typically take one of them and post them. So keep an eye out on the legislator's page, because typically when we do that, it'll be done in the next couple of days. So maybe Monday or Tuesday latest, it should be up on his page. So let's look here. Someone had a question about the weight, so I want to go back to that. So let's look at the weight here at the bottom of the screen. And the whole point is, when you're looking at the weight, there's a regular average and there's a weighted average. The regular average is you take the 3 sales, you add them, divide by 3. That's the regular average. But looking at these sales, you may say to yourself, one of these sales is more like the other 2. And it really, really, really helps my case. And it's didn't need many adjustments. It's so similar. It's like the perfect comparable sale. So what you can do is change the weight, and it changes the math. So as I said before, if you wanted to have the first sale be weighted at 50% and the other sales weighted at 25 and 25, instead of adding the 3 and coming out to an average of about 466, 906, the weight may come out to say 450 or so instead, because you've put more weight on one sale than the others. Again, it's entirely optional. You also may look at these 3 sales and say, you know what? I thought these were good, but you know what? Maybe it's the first 2 are good. That third one, that's not helping me. At the very bottom, below where the adjusted prices, it says, not like my house. If you click on that, it's going to take it out when you hit continue. So there's that option as well. I hope that clarifies the whole weight thing. Going to go back to our page again. This page here has a whole bunch of our contact information. I also want to add some information that we could send out to you guys. I'm going to be putting in the Q&A all of our contact information. And it's not just our contact information, but it is also the information. Oh, you know what? Jason's so good, he beat me to it. In the Q&A is our website address, our hours of operation, our phone number, our email address. Also, there is a clickable link that if you want to download the brochure, click on the link right now. It'll download that brochure right for you. Also, if you want to get in touch with the Department of Assessment about anything to do with the inventory of your home, the phone number is there, 516-571-1500. There's also a little hint that we get from our customer service guys. Even though it says press 1 for this or 2 for that, don't listen to the message. Wait till the end of the message. You have a better chance of getting someone to actually pick up the line. Or if you want, there was a link as well that if you click on that link, it's a contact form. You can fill it out and it will send the message right to the Department of Assessment. So that's all right now in the Q&A. Let's take a quick look here, see if there's any.
I've spotted a question I'd like to cover, Rob. One of our homeowners has asked, a kind of a two-part question, and I want to address both parts just to kind of help everyone and refresh and really make this point. The first question was, what about homes that are that sold for very low, like 150 to 200,000? It is very unlikely that those are true market sales. If they are significantly lower or significantly higher than what you are seeing from the rest of the comps, something is amiss. You won't be able to tell what is amiss, but in most cases that could be something that was a bank sale or a foreclosure, or two inheritors buying each other out of the full value of the property. So whenever you see something like that, you could certainly put it in, but the appraiser who reviews your appeal may find that that is not a market sale and may discount that comparable. Another question they asked is that, they often feel that they find well over 6 homes that are lower, and it doesn't lower the offer they receive from ARC all that much. And I'd like to address that concern. It is perfectly fine when you, the homeowner, file the appeal. You are certainly allowed to cherry pick only the homes that have sold for less than yours that are comparable. That said, the appraiser, all the appraisers that work for the Assessment Review Commission, they're independent. What that means is they're not here to be your advocate, and they're not here to defend the county. What they're going to do is they're going to look at what is a true, accurate, and correct valuation for your home. So what that means is they don't get to cherry pick just the lower comps. They're going to have to take a look at the 3 or 4 comps that may be higher than yours if those exist as well.
Thank you very much, Jason. It's nice that we have the two perspectives. I actually am one of the certified residential appraisers, and Jason handles customer service. So it's nice to have both perspectives. Jason spends all day answering questions like this. So for me, it's during these seminars, but it's nice to have both perspectives here. So
absolutely. This is another great question, and I appreciate it because it allows me to speak to you a little bit about the security of the Arrow system. The question is, are the comments that you make or documents or photos that you upload available to anyone? In other words, a potential buyer or a real estate agent? And the answer is absolutely not. When you file these appeals, you're actually filing a legal challenge to the assessment. The person that owns the appeal is the applicant. So we do not provide copies of the appeals. We do not provide information to outside third parties. And that's why we do mention in Part A of the application, even your spouse or a co-owner that may own the property with you, it's very important that you put their name as a co-applicant, co-owner with you, because if you don't and they call, we're not allowed to speak to them because the name's not on the application, and we protect your privacy with the application.
Yes, but we don't protect your marriage. So if you're married and your spouse, you better put the spouse's name on the application.
That's exactly right. We want to save you the burden of any arguments. We're not here to create a problem, but just bear in mind that if the spouse or co-owner's name is not on there, unfortunately, we'll have to refer them back to the applicant. So that's all of our questions that we have so far. We'd like to give it just another minute or two and see if any other questions come in, because they are definitely very helpful for the other attendees. And don't ever be afraid to ask a question. Please don't be afraid to call us and ask a question. We would much rather you call us and get assistance with one of your questions, especially while filing, than be frustrated and whatnot. One other plug I'll put in again is, please make sure that you write down your user ID and password that you create for the Arrow system. They are both case sensitive. You will not necessarily be logging into Arrow often, like maybe 4 times a year on the high end. And you just don't remember user IDs and passwords that you don't use a lot. Because they're both case sensitive, what I recommend is you take a piece of paper and you write down the website and a note to yourself about this is where I file my appeal. Here's my user ID and password, and make a note that they're case sensitive. And if you tape that to the side of the fridge, you will never lose it.
That's right. Just keep it right next to your Amazon password, right, Legislator?
Exactly.
That's it.
This is a good question. If
Yes.
the market sales we find are lower, do we still grieve our taxes? I've not had success. So there's 2 points to that question. So number one, let's make it very clear. We're going to re-emphasize this again. You're not grieving your taxes. There is no such thing as grieving one's taxes. That is a misunderstanding, and I won't say that people put out that misunderstanding on purpose, but you can be the judge of that. There's no such thing as grieving taxes. However, if you find market sales and you find that you are lower, the question that I recommend you ask yourself is, could you put your house on the market for the amount that you're assessed and sell it for that amount? If that is the case, then you're fairly accurately assessed, rather. You still, however, have the legal right to have us take a look at your appeal and take a second pass at it.
I want to thank you all for joining us. I want to thank Legislator Ferretti for having us, put this on for everybody here. It really is our pleasure. It's nice to be able to present this information, help people do this themselves. Like we've said multiple times, there's no reason you can't do it yourself. There's no reason to hire a company. Do it yourself. Won't have to pay a fee, won't have to give them a cut, a percentage of any savings. It all goes to you. And like Jason says, if you're sitting at your computer at your house and it's between 9 a.m. and 4:45, Monday through Friday, and you're stuck, call customer service and say, help, can you help talk me through it? And they will. They're great. They do it all day. So I think we have answered every single question that has ever been asked. No. So I am going to wrap this up. Again, I want to thank Legislator Ferretti for inviting us to do this. His phone number, if you need to reach out to the legislator, is in the Q&A. It is 516-571-6215. Again, that is the office number for Legislator Ferretti. I want to thank Jason for helping out with the presentation behind the scenes and answering questions as well. Again, thank you all for joining us. Any questions, askarknassau.com is our website. We're always there to help. Thank you all for joining us and enjoy the rest of your evening.